as she has done so faithfully so many times, Megan is going to come now and share about Evan's life. Megan, our hearts are with you. We are all here for you.
Hello. I have a friend with me, which I did not plan, but she's fine. It's fine. All right, guys. Looks like the battery in here. I like it. Or a New Balance outlet. Either one. Looks great. I just feel like I need to start with a thank you. Because I don't know that I'll ever get a chance to have this many people that love Evan and I in the same room at the same time. And I don't know if I'll get the chance to thank this many people at once for all the ways that you have carried us for 7 years. Evan loved this community more than anything. He loved the Golden Isles. He loved all of the far-fetched connections he had sprawled out through this community. 1 second. It was nothing. Okay. Literally nothing. Okay. So I need to say thank you for all that you've done. All that you've done for 7 years, all that you've done now, for turning my social media feed into just an honorarium of Evan, every story, and honestly, my friend Darby said, I didn't want to see anything else, so thank you. I hope, do you get it that I'm thankful? Okay, because I could just keep saying it, but all right, I'm going to stop. It's getting compulsive. Thank you for coming in Braves gear and New Balances. For those of you that did, it's totally fine if you didn't. Evan wanted you all to be comfortable in whatever you felt comfortable in. That was his style. But I will say that if you felt like this whole thing where we're here now doing a funeral for Evan was fast, it was. It was fast for all of us. We only found out last Tuesday, not this Tuesday, one before, you get it, that Evan was going to be stopping treatment. And then his health took a very unexpected and sharp decline from there. By Saturday, he was in the ER on oxygen. By Monday, he was at hospice. But Sunday, Monday morning, right before he got transferred to hospice, and I knew that this was the end and that our time here together was coming to a close, I had to get some funeral thoughts from him because I hadn't yet, because he didn't like talking about it while he was fighting, because he was fighting. He didn't want to talk about what was going to happen when he died, because he was going to live. But as he was kind of losing some lucidity, I said, hey, I'm so sorry. This is the literal worst conversation I could ever have with you, but I just need I want to do right by you at your funeral. What do you think about me telling everybody to wear Braves gear and New Balances? And he was like, oh, yeah. And then he said, wouldn't it be cool if I could be there? And I said, yeah, that would be so cool if you could be there. Because if I could think of any room, past, present, future, in any universe that Evan would want to be in, it's this one. And if you're in here and you're like, I only had like one conversation with him, let me tell you that one conversation with him meant as much to him as it meant to you. He talked to me about everything. We yapped. We beat a dead horse every single day. So I heard about every conversation he had and every small connection he made, and it meant as much to him as it meant to you. I promise. He would just love to be in a space where he was with all these people he knows. And I know the thing, he's with us, but in his physical body, that's what he would want. This feels impossible to talk about Evan, right? And I know what you're thinking is like, Megan, you don't have to be doing this, right? No one asked you to give this eulogy. And I'm like, yes, I insisted. I was like, fight me. You will have to wrestle this microphone out of my hand, okay? Because I was Evan's wife, but I didn't just wash his socks. I was his nurse, but I didn't just de-access his port, I was his witness. I bore witness to Evan's life, okay? I bore witness to it. And I'm gonna tell you what I saw, and I'm gonna tell you what you didn't see. And that's why I'm holding this microphone and this little child behind my back. So Evan's grandpa, Pop, passed frequently, good Lord, recently. Oh gosh, okay, so he passed recently, and he was over 90 years old. So let's rest in peace, Pop, have fun with Evan. Let's say that in the gene pool was a 90-year lifespan for Evan. Wouldn't that have been great if the cancer wouldn't have come and snatched that away? So he lived to be 30, and I'm just thinking like, wow, that's a third of a life he could have had, reasonably. And he spent 7 of the 30 years just trying to keep his feet on the ground. He spent almost a third of his third of a lifespan just trying to be here. And when I think about how impossible it feels to describe him, I think, why? Because it was so short. And he didn't, even in like the time he was an adult, he didn't have time to build a business or leave some kind of big, mark in some tangible way, because he was busy trying to stay alive. I'm like, why is this so hard? Why are we at this funeral? And we're not just mourning the loss of potential, because usually 30-year-old funerals, you're mourning, a life cut short. What could he have been? Because that first third is usually like when you learn to tie your shoes and you get rid of the pimples and you go to college and you might meet a girl and you're like starting your career and you're not really sure. And it's supposed to be like the beginning. But with Evan, we're mourning what was. We're mourning a whole life. We're missing something. We already saw it. We weren't wondering what he could have been. We saw what he was. And I just think that's remarkable for a 30-year-old. I just think that doesn't happen very often for a 30-year-old. So just keep that in mind, right? Evan was magnetic. He had something else. He had that feeling when you got around him that was warm and comfortable. And trust me, no one felt it more than I did. I got the government involved. I took his last name. I moved in with him. I washed his underwear. I was all in. I was bought in. I felt it. I felt it from the beginning. I felt it the moment I met him. And you all felt it too. It was why you walked in to wake up and you just ordered coffee and you just chatted and you walked out feeling like someone. You walked out feeling important. And you're like, that was weird because that was just a cup of coffee. Why did that happen? Evan was the type of guy that people didn't avoid in the grocery store. All of his high school friends, everybody, they didn't avoid him. You wanted to see him. You wanted to be around him. And this has been true from the beginning. You can ask all of his extended family. You can ask everyone. From the beginning, he's been this special guy. Listen, we grew up in this town. I've met his elementary school teachers. I've met his middle school teachers, and I was there in high school, and I can't even tell you about the college professors. I had to ward off. I was like, he's already someone's child. You can't adopt him. he carried that with him, where you just wanted to be around him, and he carried that special nature. And I want one thing to be really clear about that. He was not doing that so that you people would think he was cool. He didn't need your praise or your admiration. He wasn't some networker just trying to get as many people to think he was awesome as he could. He did it for you. He did it because he wanted you to know that you were special, because he wanted you to know that you mattered. That's why he related to you the way that he did. He didn't need it for himself. And I'll tell you why he did that. Because I've watched Evan cry tears, and I've watched his heart break over one main thing, and that was loneliness, not his own, but others. He would say, man, nothing breaks my heart like loneliness. I just can't stand the idea of someone being lonely. Hold on, my daughter's lonely. I have to talk to her. What's up? Oh, okay. Can someone take me? Annie? Potty time. So yeah, loneliness. She's not lonely anymore. She's got Annie. Yeah, that was his thing. His thing was making sure that everybody felt like they were somebody, because he knew that loneliness was such a cancer, right? To feel like you didn't belong, to feel like you didn't have a place, to feel like you didn't have a home, his nightmare. This is the man who knew the McDonald's order of every person in Brunswick who is unhoused. I'm not kidding. I could bring him up here and he could recite them Rain Man style. He would just run through, he would see them sitting in their normal spot. He'd just run through, whip through the McDonald's with their order. 2 apple pies for that one guy. Every time. Because he saw them and he said, I'm not gonna let them be lonely. I'm not gonna leave them over there. I'm gonna let them know I can't fix everything, but I can let them know that I care. That was his style. That was just what he did. And honestly, the reason why it's so impossible to talk about him is because I could talk about for like 4 hours stories of times when Evan stopped what he was doing, took people to the ER, brought them home with him, ran out into the interstate to try to help a car that had just flipped over. I mean, there's just so many stories I could tell where he jumped in to be the person, to be the one. He lived with open heart and open hands, and he made a family wherever he went. I saw one of his second mothers earlier this week, and I hugged her and I said, oh, you're a second mom, and she pulled back. And she was like, I was one of so many second moms. And I was like, yeah, but you're his favorite. And I tell that to all his second moms. He just slid right into everyone's family. At Wake Up, there were so many families where he just was like, yeah, I'm in their family now. He slept on so many people's couches, probably some of your couches he slept on, right? Me too, he dragged me along with him. Good gracious. And I will say that I know that you would group me in with him because you're like, Megan, it was y'all's marriage and it was so beautiful and you did it together, but I must decrease so he may increase today, okay? We're talking about Evan. But I did sleep on a lot of couches, and it wasn't because he was cheap. He was, but it wasn't because he was cheap. It was because he wanted to wake up and have coffee with you in the morning. That's why. That was his in. Well, if I stay at their house, then we can wake up and we can sit and have coffee, and he did with so many people. Let's talk about Wake Up for a second. That's my man. That's my man right there. Wake Up was a home that Evan built for all of us to come visit. And I told him that. I said, this is just your living room. And you're just having people over all day. This isn't a job. You mean you get paid to do this? He just wanted you guys to be sitting in there click-clacking away so he could just pour you some stuff and bring you something, because he got so much joy out of serving people and just having them around. He just wanted to be around. And that's why it felt home in there. That's why you felt peace and hospitality. He embodied that hospitality, right? He had found this avenue to be who he was, and it was wake up. And little known fact, I tried to get him to leave because I'll just say this, you can probably guess that we weren't able to like buy a boat on his salary or anything. So I was kind of like, hey, let's do something else. And he was like, I would, but I can't. And it literally, we would have the same fight 50 times, all before he got diagnosed, to be fair. And it would end, and he would be like, you're right, it is most logical that I leave wake up. You're right, babe. And we would stand there and we'd look at each other. And there would be a moment, and I would be like, you're not leaving wake up, are you? He's like, I'm not leaving wake up, I'm sorry. And it turned out, best decision he ever made, right? He was right. I admit I was wrong, okay? I was wrong. Not just because of the community, because when Evan got sick, I'm looking over the GoFundMe. I'm telling you, 2/3 of you people are like giving him an advanced on his tips. I'm like, who are all these people? I don't know these names. And I start saying names, and he's like, oh, yeah, extra hot vanilla latte. Wow. I'm not kidding. If this was a game we played while he got chemo, I would name people from the GoFundMe, and he would say their order. That's what he did. And that's when I knew that he was right, because that Pecky cypress we were all standing under in Redfern was our ark. That was the place that saved us. It was that community that wrapped around us, that when the floodwaters rose, we were covered and we were secure, because Bo and Aletha, man, never let us go. And as the rains kept falling, some things loosen, some people back away, but they grab tighter. And Bo doesn't like people talking about him, and that's fine, because I have the microphone. Deal with it, Bo. I'm serious. It was a miracle. I know we didn't get the miracle we wanted, but I can't believe that Evan and I got to see this miracle of how these floodwaters rose and how we were carried and floated through. I can't believe that we got to see that, because not everybody gets to see that. I know a lot of cancer families, and not everybody gets to see that. So let's talk about Mayo. Mayo was when he made that transition from being the server to being the served. He would have loved to just be going around de-accessing people's ports and giving them medicine and getting them water and getting them a pillow. That's what he wanted to be doing. That's his heart. But he couldn't. He had to sit in the chair. He had to ask for the ice chips. He's used to giving the ice chips. And you would think at a place like Mayo Clinic, can't build a family there. Then tell me why he had the personal cell phone number of 3 Mayo Clinic doctors. They offered them up. Tell me why he had Ashton on speed dial, our PA. Ashton turned into his older sister. He developed this bond with Jessica Rogers, with our whole team. He's just waltzing in here everywhere he goes, and he's like, you know what? We can do this here. This is home now. This is my family now. We can do this here. At a hospital, on an oncology floor, Evan Beard waltzes in. Anybody can do it in a coffee shop. Anybody can do it in a church. Now show me someone who can do that in an oncology floor. Show me someone who can build life and community with people on an oncology floor, and I'll show you Evan Beard. I'm telling you, after he had his major surgeries, I'm saying multiple organs operated on, staples were involved. He is the sickest I've ever seen a person be. And I saw my dad after his kidney transplant. He was pretty sick. But Evan was sicker. Sorry, Dad, he took you there. And he is befriending and developing this deep bond with his nurse. He can barely talk, but there's this unspoken bond between them and me and her. And we have this holy thing. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, you can barely move, but we have now built a family here in this room. It was unbelievable to see. Oh my gosh, you guys wouldn't believe it if you saw it. What happened down there, the holiness that happened. I'm supposed to be talking about how bad and sad it was, and that comes easy. We know it's bad and sad. So in all this talking about the family he built, let's talk about the one he built through blood. me and his kids. Do you think he loved family? He built it literally everywhere he went. Think about how much he loved us. Think about how much we were his dream. 7 years of suffering with very little pause, and he barely cared because he ended every day at home with us watching Dude Perfect. Didn't matter. He would purge in the sink and then go make breakfast after he washed his hands. We're sanitary. He sang to the boys every single night, even after chemo, even after surgeries. His love was relentless. It would not stop. He would throw me over his shoulder randomly and just walk around because he needed to be close. The same way he needed y'all click, clacking, and wake up. He just needed you close. And he'd squeeze the kids and throw them around and And you know that thing new parents will tell you where you look at their photos every night and you're like, oh my gosh, the newborns. And you're like, it's like all basically the same picture, but you're still like, oh gosh, and see there's like a tiny smirk there. God, it melts me. And I kept thinking, I wonder when this will stop for us. Benji's 9, it never stopped. Every night. Babe, can you believe that? I want to, every night. We would, the first 24 hours when we would go on a trip, we would be like, no one's asking a question and no one needs to go potty. And it was nice. And then we were like, I miss him. I miss him so much. He lived every day for them, for all of them. So now I got to tell you how it ended, because you guys need to know that. And I won't get into all the details. I'm going to try to breathe through it because I feel I'm a therapist. I know what I'm feeling. And probably some therapists in here. If any of my coworkers are here, love you guys. Just regulate me if I need you, okay? Evan was in hospice for 48 hours-ish. I don't know. Time is nothing right to me right now. I don't even know what day it is. It's Saturday. Never mind, I do know what day it is. I talked about after surgery, he was making connections with his nurses. In hospice, he had very little lucidity. I'm looking up because I have to, because I can't look at you people. He had just very little lucidity. And you just would get little spurts of words and moments and desires and needs and things. And he would reach for me. And he would hold me. And he was kissing me and telling me over and over and over, I love you, I love you, I love you. My kids asked me what his last words were, and I said, gotta be I love you, because I can't count how many times he said it. If I left the room, he called for me. He wanted me right there in the bed. He wanted me to read to him. He wanted anything, just be close, and he would use his skeleton of a body to just squeeze and hold me close. And I'm just sitting here and I'm like, on your deathbed, in your final breaths, you are reaching for love. You are reaching to show love. You can't help yourself. In your final strength is love poured out, is love outwards. It's not laying back and woe is me and oh, this is so sad. You have to push it forward toward me. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking these phrases. What did I do to deserve this? How is this even real? How can this be happening? And I'm not talking about the tragedy. How can you be real? How can this be my life? That I have this love, this husband who reaches for me on his deathbed, who loves me and kisses me and showers me with affection on his way out the door. What did I do to deserve that? Then I told him this when we found out he was stopping treatment. I said, babe, this is horrible. But the 15 years we've had together, people live 90 years and they never have it. I believe that. And I'm not just giving you toxic positivity. I'm saying that I really believe this. This is a woman who just stood in a hospice place, whatever it's called, and held her dying husband. And I'm telling you that I believe this. So you should listen to me because I know what I'm talking about. And what did we do to deserve him? How did we get to have him? What a gift. What a gift that 30 years was from God himself. And that's an important point. I know there's a lot of people here with a lot of different faith backgrounds. I'm not here to, do your thing, whatever. And I know Jermaine's up here bringing the sauce and y'all are like, where are we right now? I get that. That's fine. That's fine. But I need you to know that force of love, that magnetism that you felt was God's love pursuing you, coming towards you. Because let me tell you, I'm not just saying that because it's like the Christian thing to do. I don't care what the Christian thing to do is. I'm just gonna tell you the truth. I'm gonna testify about what's true. Evan hated when people thought he was just naturally that way. Well, he's just like a good guy. He just walked out that way. Wow. He's like, oh, really? I could have been a bank robber if I wanted to. And as I tell Darby all the time, he would have lived a lot longer if he did because those people live forever. Dictators, in their hundreds. Amazing 30-year-olds, yeah, cancer, of course. He could have done anything with his life. He hated when that was undermined. He's like, I'm out here making choices. I'm out here making choices. You undermine the hours that he spent in worship before the Lord. You didn't hear him, I did. Waking up early and hearing that guitar going and a man begging God to be made like him. I'm telling you, that's what happened. That's just what happened. You can do with it what you want. That's what happened. Hours spent in prayer was it because it was the right thing to do? Was it because he was in the South? Was it because he was in the Bible Belt? No, it was because he himself captured this image of Jesus. And remember that loneliness piece we talked about? He saw someone who also hated loneliness. He found a figure that he could really latch onto. He's like, hey, that guy hates loneliness. He runs toward lepers. He runs towards the broken people. That sounds like a life I want to live. He breaks bread and feeds everybody. He stays in people's houses and sleeps on their couches like I do. He was like, that's the kind of guy I want to be. And he latched onto that and spent hours and hours. And Tab will tell you, Tab has stories. Will tell you about the time that Evan spent just drilling him. Tell me more about this. I want to get this right. I want to get this right. So don't just think it was an accident. Don't think Evan was just appeared this way. He worked for it. And he wanted you to know that. He put in the effort, he put in the work. And it's important you know that because it's important you know that you can do it too. It's important to know that you can live that kind of life too. It wasn't some weird thing. It's waiting for you right there. It might be uncomfortable. It might be weird. It might, sure, Evan had the personality type for it. Not everybody is as type B as him. Not everybody is 30 minutes late already and been like, I think I can swing by CVS on the way. I think I can. I think I have time. Sure, he was laid back. It lent to doing this, but it was more than that. And now let's talk about this final thing that we need to talk about. If God loved Evan so much, and Evan loved God so much, why did he let him die? Why did he have that little polyp the day I met him at 15? Maybe it was cancer. I don't know. You'd have to ask Dr. Starr. He could tell you. But, I can't tell you. Maybe it was cancer already. And why didn't anything intervene? And Evan spent 7 years wondering that question. And so did I. And so did you. And if you have an answer for that, I call your bluff. I could say it differently, but I'm being family friendly. You don't have an answer. I don't care your socioeconomic background, your religious background. I don't care what is your, woo-woo thing about the life and the universe and the world. I don't care. Doesn't matter where you come from. You don't have an answer. And I don't. And Evan didn't. But I'll tell you the peace that he received and how he wrestled with this no answer thing. He couldn't talk much about dying because he was focused on trying to live. It was too much for him to talk about leaving me and the kids and what we were going to do and how we would make it. He just couldn't. And I gave him that grace. It's fine. I'll be all right. Look at all these people here. I'm going to be all right, But he would sing. He would process it through music. And the main way he processed it through, the main song, was the song that our beloved, dear beloved Owen Plant is going to sing, called No Hard Feelings by the Avett Brothers. And if I had to give a charge about that question of why didn't God heal Evan, that's what we say. And that's what Evan said. And that's what I whispered in his ear over and over in hospice. No hard feelings. No hard feelings with God, no hard feelings with life, no hard feelings with death, no hard feelings left behind. With hurts, with regrets, no hard feelings. Because in the end, what good do they do? How do they help us? If the heart's gonna stop beating either way, how are they gonna help us? And this specific part, I just wanna highlight, because it's what happened Wednesday. And it's, I think, how Evan found his peace. There's a little bit, and it says, will I join with the ocean blue or run into a Savior true and shake hands laughing and walk through the night straight to the light, holding the love I've known in my life with no hard feelings. And so that would be my charge to all of us. No hard feelings. We don't know why this happened. We don't know why this life that was so dynamic got cut short so tragically. But we can move forward honoring that life, treasuring all that it was with no hard feelings. And I'll give you a couple things to remember Evan by, because he, dying young, it was kind of one of the things he actually said a couple times to me that I was surprised. Don't forget me. I was like, what? What are you talking about? I told him, I was like, I am you. I don't know, like, there's a whole half, I don't know how that could ever happen. But I'll give you a few times. When Spencer Strider's on the mound, think of Evan. When you go to Dulce-Do and you get a cream-filled donut, if you're able to, because Ryan and David are killing it, think of Evan. When you go, speaking of David Carey again, Evan really loved food, and he loved St. Simon's food. If you go and eat any of Chef Tim Lynch's food and you're like having a spiritual experience, think of Evan. Same with David Carrier, think of Evan. When you're eating this steak that is like, think of Evan. When you see someone alone and you think, maybe I should go talk to them, think of Evan. When the Braves are losing, think of Evan. Pray for Evan. We should have been already doing that. Yikes. When the Braves are winning, think of Evan. And rejoice with Evan. When you're playing Frisbee or any kind of ball, he's very puppy-like in how he liked to just play with the ball or a Frisbee. So when you find yourself playing, think of Evan. And most importantly, I would say, when you are sitting around a fire with friends and thinking, this is kind of perfect right now, think of Evan. He was the white guy at the party who pulled out a guitar. And he was proud of it. He didn't care. He's gonna pull it out. And obviously, when you are sitting and having a cup of coffee every morning, please think of Evan. As I told the team here earlier, where 2 or more are gathered drinking coffee, there Evan is in their midst. I love you guys. I love you guys so much. Man, I love you guys so much. And I just wish Evan could be here so bad. Sometimes I can't breathe because I just miss him. And I wish he could be here to hug all of you and thank you himself. But please, it's Les and Meek. I was like I was his shadow. We get it. He outshined me. I know that. But just take it, what I have of the love and thanks. Just love you guys. And I also love Owen. Where's Owen? Now, I need to say that Owen's not I know he looks like a celebrity. He looks like he's from Los Angeles and is on tour with John Mayer or something. And I needed to say that because Evan thought that Owen was the most handsome person on planet Earth. I'm not kidding. He said that to me a couple weeks ago. And now I'm gonna make Owen sing. Okay. Love y'all.